I am going to turn the mic over to our Chief Deputy, Glen Price. We are delighted to have Glen here to speak and Patricia Rucker to follow. I think you're in for a treat today, so welcome and thank you for being here.
Wow, Kristen, thank you so much, and thank you all so much for being here today. And just want to welcome and thank you for attending this early math symposium. And special welcome as well to all of our online audience. We're going to be involving you as well through the course of the day today. As Kristen mentioned, my name is Glen Price, and I have the honor of serving California as the Chief Deputy at the California Department of Education. And I'm sure, as you all know, there are remarkable things going on in California in so many ways in public education, from our new standards, our new accountability systems, and our support for and growing support for systems involving continuous improvement. And in so many ways, you all in early education have been leading the way on that, and it's just so amazing and such a joy to watch all the systems develop, particularly your work with quality rating and improvement systems, QRIS, and particularly the IS, the improvement systems pieces of that. And a key thread that's woven through all that and around something that we've been coming to call the California way, that it has been attracting attention around the nation, is the emphasis on collaboration and the emphasis on teamwork and the knowledge that there is no one teacher, there is no one provider, there is no one school, there is no one county office of education, there is no one school district, there is no one Department of Education, there is no one State Board of Education that can do this work by ourselves. We have to collaborate, we have to be a team to do all this work. And that's why it's really, really fun for me to see the California Department of Education, the entity and the work that Kristen Brown represents within the department, our One System Whole Child Integrated Action Team, working together with the California Early Math Project. And can we give a round of applause for the Early Math Project and all the fine work that they've been doing? In itself as well is a collaborative effort involving the State Board of Education, involving the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, involving First Five California, involving West Ed, involving CSESA. And it never would happen without all those partners coming together. And I also just want to note that I've had the good fortune to work with my boss, Superintendent of Public Instruction, for a period extending of about 25 years now, going back to the time when I was an elected member of the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education, and he was all right, West Contra Costa's in the house. Yeah, and Tom, of course, was an amazing representative for us in the legislature, and so when he offered me the position of Chief Deputy Superintendent, it was pretty much a no-brainer for me to do that, and one of the key reasons that I so eagerly accepted that position because I knew about Tom's support for early education and what a priority it has been for him over the years. On a personal level, just wanted to share a couple of notes too. My own father, Dr. Charles Price, was a first-generation college attender and became a renowned research mathematician. So I grew up with a household that was full of math, and I knew what that was like and how important it was for me. And not just the math, but the focus on inquiry, on scientific method. Unfortunately, it didn't stick too much because by the time 1968 rolled around, my biggest goal in life was to become a student revolutionary, and the math part kind of faded away. But I did then have the good fortune to marry the amazing Reed Hybricks, who is a math teacher who's been teaching for 35 years in the West Contra Costa Unified School District. And she's part of the math department there that is formed by very powerful, strong women. And I've seen firsthand the results that they've been able to achieve. And I actually got some husband cred this morning because she was looking at my notes. And she goes, oh, we're kind of getting ready for our day. And she goes, oh, you're speaking at a math symposium? And I, yeah, I'm speaking at a math symposium. And got some credit there. My wife and I have two amazing daughters, and I won't waste your time bragging about their accomplishments. But about 3 months and 19 days ago, our first granddaughter was born. And her name is Hannah, and it was, it's just as as the Lion King and the circle of life turns around. It sounds cliche and trite, but it really felt to me like one of those moments. When I held my arms right after she was born, I just felt like just so recharged and renewed, because that's what it's all about, is bringing these young people in the world and making sure that they have the opportunity to achieve their full potential. And not just Hannah, but every single child who's born in the state of California needs to have the opportunity. And a lot of that is about the support we give them in the early years and providing them with the math formation and that orientation that comes through early exposure to math is a really critical part to that. So of course, we got Hannah solving quadratic equations, and as she's moving along. So it's really natural for me to support the overarching goals of the early math project and for the department. And as I'm sure as you all know, they are to elevate the awareness of the importance of early math, to support California's development in that regard, to empower our parents, teachers, and providers to positively engage with mathematics, and to serve as a pilot. If this work needs to expand, it needs to replicate, it needs to get out throughout the mighty state of California. So the topics of today's presentations could not be more timely. We know that current research and conversations with respected experts in the field of early learning indicate a pressing need to move this work forward. We know that young children, and I'm speaking to the choir here, but we know that young children have great potential to learn these math concepts and skills. Researchers don't yet completely understand the why of that, but they know that it's true, and they know that it's important for us to continue this work. So it's my hope that today's symposia, both for everyone here, for the other 350 people that are watching this online, more importantly, for all the people that you are going to reach out and touch in some way with what you learned today and the relationship. So will really result in a quantum step forward for our state providing early mathematical education. It's a great time to be moving forward in this area. I'm sure you're all aware that the legislature has just increased support for early education, $239 million more coming back into our system. Is that a good thing? We just got to hope, and we're pretty assured that the governor is not going to keep his blue pencil on some other desk when the budget comes along, but we're looking forward to that getting signed. So let's get it on. Let's work today and make this happen, and really think about how we can be providing these mathematical experiences. And it's my special pleasure to introduce Pat Rucker, who has just been doing such an awesome job on the State Board of Education. Having served 2 terms on a Board of Education, thinking about these issues, and month in, month out, have to work on some of the most critical issues facing California. It's not. But Pat does it with an incredible intellect, an incredible passion, incredible articulateness, and just brings a real dedication to our children. So, Pat, will you come on up and introduce our keynote speaker? Pat Rucker.
Thank you very much, Glenn, for that very gracious introduction. Good morning. My name is Patricia Rucker, and I am a member of the State Board of Education. This is my 6th year participating as a member of the board. I was appointed by Governor Brown during his first term. And in being appointed by the governor, by this particular governor, I just want to remind you who this man is. When in California is a state, when we talk about the California way, this was a man who had the conversation about ecology and recycling and being green a long time ago, long before it was fashionable to have those conversations. And he's made it a lifestyle choice, because we even recycled the governor and re-elected him again to a second set of terms. When the 1970s, when he first came into, I'm sorry, in the 1980s, when he first became governor, just think about who this guy was. He was very young, he wasn't married. Every mother in America wanted their daughter to marry him. But he was dating Linda Ronstadt. So fast forward to his reelection. Fast forward to his reelection a few years back. He's in his second term now. Now every mother in America wants to marry him. So that's where we are with not just having a leader who has been visionary for a long time, but he was quite visionary when he made the decision about how he wanted to staff and consider people who would do the regulatory and policy work for his administration. The State Board of Ed, under his administration, has had some very specific work to do. As you know, California over the last few years has overhauled our state accountability system, and we have taken a different look at not only what it means to hold schools accountable, but what it means to be accountable in that work. So I'm very happy to have been a part of the organization that not only put together the local and approved the funding and the support for the local control accountability plan, but also the architecture of an accountability system that's come to be called across the nation the California way. I'm not here to talk about that, but I am here to have you think about how the work that you're doing contributes to not only going forward what California does in their schools, but how that work then shows up in what defines what a high-quality educational experience looks like for students. So first of all, I want to welcome you to this conference and thank you for taking the time out away from your schedule and away from your other duties to be here with us. I want to also thank those who are participating online and let you know we are thinking about you, and we know and feel the urgent need to make sure you feel included. As a California teacher myself, I started my teaching career a long time ago in a little teeny tiny school district that's now part of the Twin Rivers Unified School District in Sacramento County. Del Paso Heights, yes, yay, Del Paso Heights. I also want to say, since I'm here in Yolo County, I'm an UC Davis alumni, go Aggies. I realize that there's a critical need to increase early math exposure by engaging children in interesting, challenging, and really substantive early learning experiences based on good first teaching. Like many teachers, all those years ago, I started my career in education as a substitute teacher. When you're a substitute teacher, you come to learn a lot about yourself. You figure out what it is you're really good at doing. You also learn about the things you could really stand the opportunity to improve on. So of course, I spent my entire time as a substitute being very anxious and very excited about the opportunity to have my first classroom. And by the time I got there, because I spent all that time substituting, I knew that I really wanted to work with young children. Most of the time that I spent as a sub, I worked in kindergarten classes, and the best part of every day in those kindergarten classes was math. Those kids loved math. And when I say they loved math, what I mean is they loved doing math. They loved counting and comparing and analyzing patterns. They loved circling and recognizing shapes and discussing the things that they were discovering. So naturally, a few years later, when I was a full-time teacher and those kindergartners arrived in my fourth grade class, I was excited because I thought I had a relationship with them already. I thought I knew who they were. By the time they came to me in fourth grade, they didn't like math anymore. What happened? So there's something that creates an excitement about discovery, an excitement about doing math that gets lost somewhere along the way. And an answer to that question is what I've spent my entire professional career as an educator trying to understand. So I'm not going to promise you're going to get an answer to those questions today, but you will get a great understanding about why early learning, well, wait a minute, maybe I need to work on my motivational speaking. Let me say, I believe you're going to get some very foundational information to help you answer those questions. Is that better? My presenters are now happy with me again. So we can edit that in the tape before it goes out on the internet. I believe with the workshops that you're going to see this afternoon, and I want to encourage you to make sure you stay for all of the segments this afternoon and visit many different diverse subjects as you go through the workshops this afternoon, because many of the foundational concerns that are part of the answer to that question, what happened to my fourth graders, will be developed in the lessons you will hear this afternoon. But here is what I do know. Young children, and those kindergartners taught me this, young children have remarkable mathematical abilities. Those mathematical abilities, unlike learning to read, are actually innate. And you know that if you have more than one child, because they can immediately say, he got more than me. They can immediately tell you which is bigger, which is further, which is smaller, which is more interesting because of the shape. And they can also tell you what won't fit. And they can explain to you why. So they have very clear innate mathematical abilities. Those kindergartners were developing skills and developing ways of self-expression about math concepts that they were not aware of on their own, but they were clearly developing and had a strong interest in. And more importantly, during the math time in those classrooms, they were more engaged and willing to take risks and willing to be wrong and understand the principles of true problem solving. So again, the question is, what happened by the time they came to me in fourth grade? So there's a lot of research, as Glen pointed out to you, about what we understand about early learning. There's a lot of research about what we understand about math literacy. I am not the expert to present that to you, but we do have somebody wonderful who's going to talk to you about that and jumpstart today's conference. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Megan Frankie. She's our keynote speaker. Dr. Frankie is a professor of education at the University of California, Los Angeles. Along with her colleagues, she supports and studies teachers as they make use of research-based information about the development of children's mathematical thinking, and looks at ways to create opportunities about the development of children's mathematical thinking and opportunities for low-income students of color to learn mathematics with understanding. It's very personally important to me to see and know that Dr. Frankie is doing this work, particularly for low-income students of color. I had the pleasure when I started my job with the California Teachers Association of becoming a godmother. And when he was born, the first thing his father did was put a basketball in his hand. He joined the YMCA and a basketball team long before he got his first library card and went with his godmother to the library. But when we went to church 3 or 4 years later, and people asked him, what do you want to do when you grow up? He looked at me and said, I want to take Algebra 1 when I'm in the 8th grade. And then he came and sat next to me and said, did I get that right? And he did. That was his goal. He didn't understand why that was his goal, and he did. 2 weeks ago, he graduated with honors from Sheldon High School. And he has a full scholarship to Cal State and Humboldt as a basketball athletic scholar. So I'm very proud of him, but I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to prevail and get him to pay attention not only to his learning as a student so that he was well-rounded, but to understand the importance, the logic, and the beauty of understanding math. He wants to be a doctor. He wants to study mathematics and physics at the university. And so I'm very excited about that because here's one African American who will be successful. But that's not the opportunity that I can say all students can expect and can be afforded. But it is an opportunity that we all in this room have a commitment for. So I want to welcome you again and thank you for being here. And sincerely, in bringing Dr. Frankie forward, I want to invite you to have a wonderful day and to learn all that you can to benefit all of those students. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.